Hey guys, do you know what you're seeing on your screens right now? You are seeing confirmation that the next few years will be one of the biggest for cryptocurrency in its history. And that's why today I'm going to tell you about the most useful information about Solana. Just trust me, this will be the most useful video you will see about this coin in the coming year. After all, today I'm going to tell you about how to maximize your income from this coin, consider whether it is too late to invest in Solana, and most importantly, calculate how much Solana you need to have to reach millionaire status. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, let's get started. Solana is a great example of a team that keeps building, developing an ecosystem, and growing despite all the negatives. Do you know at least one project from the top 15 by market cap that has returned plus 500% in just 1 year? I can tell you right now that there are no such coins. Besides, 2 years ago, everyone thought that Sol would not recover after the FTX scam. On my channel, I have repeatedly talked about Solana and its potential to return to high prices. And even from one of the latest videos, you could already fix 2.5x to the price. Unfortunately, many people did not see the potential and thought that Solana was a dead asset. But as you have already noticed, this is not the case at all. Therefore, I propose to analyze this phenomenon and determine if there is still potential for further growth and what to do right now in order not to miss out on any more profits. I would like to begin with the fact that right now, Solana is starting to breathe down Ethereum's neck. It is actually following in its footsteps. New projects are constantly appearing, the NFT and GameFi areas are developing, and its own narratives and new opportunities are emerging. The blockchain itself is growing in terms of trading volume, number of protocols, and most importantly, TVL is growing. Just take a look at this great chart. You could see such marks for total value locked as early as the beginning of May 2022. At that time, the market was not so developed and Solana itself did not have such an ecosystem. In general, I have noticed that not many people pay attention to TVL, and this is also a big mistake. After all, the total value locked directly shows how well the ecosystem is developed and how much the community trusts the project. And according to TVL Solana, we can clearly conclude that this indicator will only increase. Currently, it ranks third among all blockchains, behind only Ethereum and Binance Smart Chain. I don't see any point in counting Tron in this list, and the Binance blockchain will definitely lose this battle in the next few months. So we can see Solana in second place. But in my opinion, Solana is the real top 2 altcoin and ecosystem on the market. So I suggest diving into this topic a little more because ETH and Sol have much more in common than you think. Almost every crypto enthusiast has heard the thesis that Solana is the Ethereum killer. But is it really true? Personally, I don't think so, because Ethereum is somehow at an unattainable level, and it is also twice as old as Solana. That is, Solana is the same Ethereum, only one cycle younger, but it already has the advantages that I will talk about a little later. Therefore, right now, Solana will not kill Ethereum, but it is starting to take a small share of the market quite actively. And now let's go back to the statistics because not every category has the same advantages as TVL. For example, in the field of NFT, the volume for December 2023. And this is not an exception, but the beginning of a new trend. In addition, it is interesting that much of the $381 million of Ethereum transactions are money laundering transactions, while Solana has only 10 million. In addition, the number of daily NFT mints on Ethereum is decreasing every day, while on Solana, this figure is kept at a fairly good level. And this is logical because it is much cheaper, easier, and faster to build your NFT projects on Sol. And this is not the only area where Ethereum is slowly losing ground, as recently it was seen that the number of active addresses on Solana was significantly higher than that of Bitcoin and Ethereum. However, we should not jump to conclusions about Ethereum's defeat, as it continues to lead in terms of number of transactions per day. The gap between Ethereum and Solana is so large that Solana will have to do something really impressive to reach a similar daily transaction volume. There was a point when Solana was seeing an incredible 300 million plus transactions per day. So who knows if the next bull market won't be the game-changing tipping point for this blockchain. Furthermore, the old brick-and-mortar narrative has taken over Solana, just as it once did with the top 1 altcoin. Every day, new tokens are released, someone makes money, someone loses money, but the result is the same. The Sol ecosystem is growing exponentially. Interestingly, Vitalik Buterin's blockchain once gave birth to the DeFi narrative, spreading this technology and making it popular. Almost every active crypto enthusiast has interacted with several projects from this narrative at least once. And now this narrative has started to hype very loudly on the Solana blockchain. And the DeFi direction has started to grow at an unrealistic rate. At the same time, in partnership with the blockchain, they reward most active users, and these rewards are often much larger than in similar projects on Ethereum, where you have to spend much more commission for each transaction. But let's talk about such projects a bit later. It seems to me that it would be a bit strange to deny that it is no longer possible to ignore or not focus on this blockchain. Solana is a fast, secure, and most importantly, very cheap product that gives you everything you need, but does it more conveniently and easily than Ethereum, which is why I see great potential. By the way, here's what Solana founder Anatoly Yakovenko thinks about it.
Solana is kind of uniquely positioned in the industry to be non-sharded, no layer 2s, a single gen global state machine. What's unique about Solana is that it doesn't have any layers, it doesn't do the separation, and it preserves this composability, which makes things cheaper.
And it's hard to argue with that because Solana really doesn't need to make L2 solutions, of which there are many based on Ethereum. And they really are needed there because even now, when the bull market has not started yet, the gas for making transactions on this blockchain is simply sky high. Sometimes these indicators will exceed 100, so in a bull market, the average gas per transaction will easily reach 300 or more. Therefore, it will be extremely expensive to use Ethereum. So liquidity will definitely start moving to L2 solutions or L1 blockchains with reasonable fees.
So you can look at the Nakamoto coefficient. I think on Solana is like 23. I think it's 20 on Ethereum. If you really mint 50 million NFTs on any L2 right now, it's going to cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. On Solana, it was literally $1,000.
And this perfectly underlines my words and the statistics I quoted earlier. Solana is definitely superior to Ethereum in this respect. Another interesting opinion about these two blockchains was expressed by ARK Invest CEO Cathie Wood. In a recent interview, she was asked if she sees any tokens as promising as Bitcoin.
Solana is doing a really good job. I mean, if you look at Ether was faster and cheaper than Bitcoin in the day. That's how we got Ether. Solana is even faster and cost-effective than Ether. So, you know, there are infrastructure plays. We do believe Web3, digital assets. That's a big idea, actually.
Of course, when such well-known people in investment circles talk about Solana in such a positive way, it can't help but contribute to its price and presence in the information space, although the project team itself is well aware of what it has to do to stay in the news. So I suggest you check out the latest news and interesting collaborations, and in the meantime, like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss my videos. As I said before, the Solana team really knows how to hype and get their audience excited. A great example would be their Solana phone, which generated a lot of reactions and people wanting to buy it. They actually made a new smartphone that wouldn't have caused a stir if they hadn't partnered with Bonk. If you don't know, Bonk is a meme coin on the Solana blockchain, which is currently the third largest coin of its kind. This particular coin was given as a drop for the purchase of smartphones from Solana. After the announcement of the drop, sales increased tenfold. And immediately after selling out, the price of the phone increased to $5,000. And it turned out to be a great marketing campaign because everyone had the opportunity to buy a phone that cost $600 and get a $900 drop in Bonk coins, which was the exchange rate at the time. And you could resell the phone for more than $5,000. And this is definitely something unprecedented, probably one of the most interesting news stories I have ever seen in crypto. But not everyone appreciated it, and you could see quite a bit of hatred towards the phone itself. Here is a vivid example.
And that would be the Solana Saga crypto phone. Bust of the year. There is actually no price that I would recommend anyone buys this phone. Buying this phone is like buying a timeshare. It might seem like a good idea for like 2 seconds, but the second you actually do it, you realize how horrible of an idea it was, and this is just a bad phone.
In general, the blogger noted that the build quality and design are excellent, but otherwise buying such a device is a terrible idea. I wonder if he knows that he was given a drop for the purchase and that the phone itself can be resold for many times more even now. But despite the hate, this case has generated a lot of interest and obviously brought a huge amount of new liquidity to the blockchain itself. That's why the Solana team decided to keep giving more and more interesting information. For example, they recently launched a pre-order for a new phone and received more than 100,000 pre-order applications in just 30 days. And this is definitely an amazing result. It seems to me that Solana is one of those projects that are really good at Web3 marketing, which is very good for both the token and the blockchain. By the way, I can't help but mention some interesting things about the phone itself. After all, in addition to being named the worst phone of 2023, a crypto influencer decided to do a stress test for Saga Mobile.
Not my Saga phone. What the fuck was I thinking? Oh my god, this smells horrible. Okay, it's done. Oh my god. Stinks. What the fuck? Ow, fuck. That's hot. Oh my god, okay, wait, it's wet?
It's a very funny case because this video is actually an advertising campaign for her NFT collection. And while some people didn't understand why she burned her phone, others were minting free NFTs that could be sold for plus $10. At the same time, anyone could get NFTs with no limit on the maximum number per wallet. And this case only shows how Solana, its community, and the information field are committed to constant growth of the ecosystem and enrichment of both small investors and the team itself. Besides, you would have to pay much more money on Ethereum to make a similar collection or buy such an NFT. But that's not the point. So far, I've only talked about the positive aspects associated with Solana, so it's time to highlight the negative aspects that unfortunately exist. So I suggest we move on, and in the meantime, share in the comments if you would buy a Solana phone too, and if this case will be as successful as the first one. Unfortunately, there are no perfect tokens in crypto. There are always some positive and negative aspects. Bitcoin is very slow and expensive to make transactions, Ethereum is faster but still quite expensive, and Solana has other problems, which we will talk about now. The crypto community identifies 4 problems that can negatively affect the blockchain and the price of the coin. Number 1. Most of the Solana supply was distributed to early investors and the project team, which caused Sol to suffer repeatedly. Number 2. Widespread use of data centers to run nodes. Number 3, very high technical requirements for validators. Number 4, lack of customer diversification. While some of this may seem rather negative, some of the problems have been solved, either completely or at least partially. Jump Crypto has introduced an alternative client technology that has significantly improved the situation. Plus, the Solana team itself has reduced the technical specifications for validators. At the same time, Solana's validators still prefer a cloud-based infrastructure, which can definitely cause some problems. A good example is the situation that happened in 2022. At once, 1,000 validators were disconnected from the network, which caused instability in the work of 1/5 of Solana's share at once. This outage was caused by the decision of the server provider Hetzner. This situation was very revealing. It showed the real problem of the blockchain. Interestingly, Solana did not show any price drop at all. At the time of recording this video, this general problem with nodes can be considered solved. The list of validators looks like this, and they are scattered around the world, so the risks have become much lower. And although the situation has become better than before, you can still see some providers that have 18 and 13%, which is not enough, but still better than it was. But the issue of geographical centralization of validators is still unresolved because more than 50% are located in the United States. And this is a real problem because if the US policy on cryptocurrencies deteriorates sharply, it will become a big problem for Solana. But in fact, this will be a problem not only for them, but for the entire crypto space because Ethereum has a similar situation. However, at this point, I don't see any reason to raise any questions against this background. So, one way or another, most of the downside has been addressed. So I propose to move on to something more positive, namely my prediction for Solana in this bull market. To be honest, I have very strong bullish feelings about Sol because this coin has a lot of potential. I see new all-time highs within the next year, but this is crypto and anything can happen, so I'm going to give my 3 predictions for 3 different scenarios in the market. So I'll start with a more negative one, which I personally don't really believe in, but I'm not ignoring the possibility. I often see messages like this one. It was written by not anyone, but by Arthur Hayes, a well-known crypto figure. In fact, there is some truth to his words, because even though the FTX scam is over, this situation can still affect Solana. After all, Solana's main investor, Alameda Research, holds as much as 45% of the total SOL stake, which is 24 million SOL. For now, however, the coin is safe, as Alameda has acquired assets with gradual unlocking conditions. The cryptocurrency owned by the company is frozen in the Solana smart contract, and the average unlocking period for these assets is November 2025. It is quite difficult to predict the state of the market at the moment when Alameda Research's liquidators will be able to access a significant number of tokens. However, it is highly likely that these assets will be sold. The sale of such a large number of assets will require detailed sales strategies and similar measures. Nevertheless, the presence of 14% of the total number of assets in circulation will undoubtedly have an impact on the value of SOL. Besides, this is not something new for the token community. Before that, in 2023, FTX was constantly merging the rest of its assets and SOL as well. Therefore, no matter how negative the picture looks, I am still bullish, so I expect at least a return to the old all-time high. That's a little more than 2x from current levels. But I don't see any point in buying now, as it would be much better to wait for the correction. However, I would like to remind you that this is not a financial recommendation, but only my personal opinion and market analysis. So be sure to do your own analysis and invest wisely. Now let's move on to the calculations, and I want to make it clear that I will calculate the current price for your convenience, but if you wait for the correction, your calculations will look even better. To get $1 million by selling SOL for $260, you need to have 3,846 Solana, which at the current rate is $451,200. I understand that this is a lot and only a small number of people can afford such a huge investment in one asset, but I would like to remind you that this was my bearish forecast. Therefore, I suggest we move on to more pleasant and realistic numbers. Still, the market is in a pretty positive stage, where everything is growing and more positive news is coming out every day. The year has just started and we can already see plus 30% growth in BTC price. Bitcoin ETFs have already been accepted, and the halving is just a few months away. So, the next 2 years will be the most exciting for all cryptocurrencies. This picture describes the current situation very well. Besides, Solana itself is developing very actively, constantly creating cool newsworthy events for itself. A great example would be the phones that are being bought at an unrealistic rate. The ecosystem is developing at the speed of Ethereum in the last bull market. And if you properly assess the situation, Solana shows remarkable strength, because not so long ago it could be bought for $12 during a huge price drop through FTX. A little over a year has passed and Solana is back on top, getting huge partnerships with top companies and selling phones worth millions. And I am sure that this is just the beginning. So in the future, we will see even more growth in the ecosystem and the price of the coin as a whole. That's why I see the old all-time high being broken and new highs being demonstrated. $500 for one Solana in this bull market looks quite realistic to me, which is why I set such goals. So to make $1 million, you have to sell 2,000 Solana. This trade will cost you $231,000. This is certainly not a small amount, and few people can afford such a purchase. But still, if you wait for corrections and use my strategy that I will talk about at the end of the video, it will be much easier to reach $1 million. So I suggest we move on to the frantic pre-action. As we all know, the cryptocurrency market is crazy. Anything can really happen, so don't rule out the possibility of incredible growth. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. Here's a prediction from Van Eck. They believe that Solana will outperform Ethereum behind TVL DeFi. This does not seem possible to me. However, I am sure that the difference between the sizes of TVL will definitely decrease significantly, but I was actually interested in another thesis from them. They predict $3,200 by 2030. Obviously, I'm not looking that long-term right now, but in the context of 2 to 3 years, I think we can see interesting levels. And as I said, Solana is starting a pretty strong fight with Ethereum, taking away its market share, so it will be quite correct to compare them. It seems to me that if Solana continues to develop in the same way, it will be able to reach the old all-time high of Ethereum, which will be quite good, of course. Time will show us how possible it is. So, to get $1 million, you need to invest about $115,000. But let's be realistic. Few people will be willing to invest even this amount. So let me tell you my strategy for this bull market. The Solana ecosystem is growing and is very similar to Ethereum during the last bull market. There are more and more projects in the direction of DeFi, which definitely brings even more liquidity to the ecosystem. And it is very important for us, ordinary crypto users, not to miss this, because all these new projects will distribute their tokens to active users. That's why we need to not only keep our Solana, but make it work for us. It multiplies our own X. That's why I threw my Solana lending into 3 different projects. These protocols have already made it clear that they will have a token, and all active users will receive very good rewards. This was already the case with a similar product, Jito Finance. And these are not just words. People who invested only $1,000 received a drop of $7,000 and sometimes even more. That's why I choose this method to increase my finances. But please be careful. There are such risks involved, such as liquidating a position due to a significant drop in the price of Solana, and this option is not very suitable if you are buying SOL right now. In addition, there is always the possibility of a protocol hack, and then your assets can fall into the hands of the attackers. So although this strategy can actually increase your balance significantly, it has its risks and side effects. So be sure to do your own research and risk assessment before you start such activities. And I would like to remind you that this video is by no means financial advice, just my thoughts and calculations. And that's all. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the growth of coins and new trends. Thanks for watching. Your Coin Post.